All right, welcome back, everyone. We're about to take a deep dive into 1883 today.
Ooh, excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm really curious about this one. So 1883, it's the TV series that follows the Dutton family as they journey, from Texas all the way to Montana,
Right, right.
looking for a better life. And we've got some pretty fascinating material to work with today. I mean, westward expansion, you've probably heard of it, but our
Yeah.
sources go like way deeper into what that actually looked like
Oh, yeah.
and how 1883 actually portrays that. So,
I think what's interesting is when you think about the 1880s, it's not just families kind of packing up their wagons and heading west. I mean, you have to think about this concept of manifest destiny that was really taking hold at that time.
oh, yeah, yeah.
This idea that the United States was like destined to expand across the whole continent.
It was there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this idea really fueled westward migration. And while it did bring opportunity for some, it also led to a lot of conflict and displacement for others, especially Native American tribes.
Yeah, and 1883 really throws us right into this like complex historical moment. And the one thing that's just kind of blowing my mind looking through these sources is like the immense challenges that these families had to face.
Oh, for sure.
It wasn't just about going a really long distance. We're talking like disease
Oh,
outbreaks,
yeah.
cholera, typhoid fever. I mean, these things could just wipe out entire wagon trains.
Absolutely. And then you add on top of that the weather. You have to think about like scorching summers, brutal winters with these families. They're just huddled in these like pretty flimsy wagons,
Yeah.
trying to survive, like blizzards, flash floods. And the sources mentioned like these journeys could often take like months, even years.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of them didn't even make it. But, I think the show does a really good job of portraying those hardships, showing us like the grit it took to survive.
It makes you wonder, like, what kept them going?
Yeah.
I mean, was it just this idea of land?
Yeah.
Or was it like something deeper, like maybe a sense of adventure or even like desperation?
Mm.
Because, the sources also talk about how a lot of these people were fleeing like poverty, conflict, persecution back east.
Right. And that's a great question because it was likely like a whole combination of factors,
Sure.
right? Some were definitely driven by economic hardship, like they were hoping to find, fertile land, new opportunities. Others were trying to escape the aftermath of the Civil War,
Right. Yeah.
seeking like a fresh start. And that idea of manifest destiny, that sense of adventure and pioneering spirit, I mean, that definitely played a role for a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I think, the Duttons in the show, they kind of embody this mix of motivations.
I see that.
Right. I mean, they're fleeing a difficult past in Texas, but they also seem drawn to like the allure of the untamed West.
And 1883 just seems to be doing such a great job capturing that complexity.
Mhm.
Like, even the critics are raving about the show's attention to historical detail.
Oh,
Like the authentic wagon designs, the clothing, even like the dialogue. I mean, it really feels like you're transported back to that era.
and filming on location in Texas and Montana, I think that really adds to that authenticity.
Oh, for sure.
Those vast landscapes, the open plains, rugged mountains. It's just like visually stunning.
Yeah, and viewers are definitely eating it up. I mean, the show's sitting at an 8.7 rating on IMDb. That's pretty impressive.
That is impressive, yeah.
But it makes me think, though, by focusing on just this one family's story, like the Duttons, does the show maybe risk overshadowing the experiences of other groups during that time?
Oh, absolutely.
Particularly, Native American tribes whose land was being encroached upon.
I mean, that's a really valid point. And, while 1883 does show some of the conflict with Native Americans, it mainly tells the story from the perspective of the settlers, right?
Right.
I think it's just important to remember that westward expansion came at a significant cost for indigenous communities.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's fascinating because we have this show that's both super entertaining, but also, really thought-provoking.
For sure.
It kind of forces you to consider all these complexities of this period in American history, right?
Totally.
But knowing what we know now, like all the challenges, the triumphs, the displacement, the resilience, it makes me wonder, what would you have done?
Oh, that's a good one.
Like, if you were faced with the same choices as those pioneers, would you risk it all to journey west?
It's a tough one.
That's something to think about. But for now, we're going to wrap up this deep dive.
Right.
If you haven't already, definitely check out 1883. It's a wild ride, but it'll really make you appreciate, just what those pioneers went through
Absolutely.
and the legacy, good and bad, that
Yep.
they left behind.
For sure.
All right, until next time.
See ya.